Imagine the Middle East in the 16th century, not as the map we know today, but as a battlefield of ideas, faith, cavalry, gunpowder, and dynasties. In this world, Iran was not simply a country, it was the Safavid Empire, a rising power that redefined the political and religious identity of Persia and stood as one of the most formidable rivals the Ottoman Empire ever faced. To speak of the supremacy of Iran in Ottoman times, we must first be precise. Iran did not dominate the Ottomans in a total imperial sense. The Ottoman Empire was larger, wealthier, and often militarily stronger, but the Safavid Iran achieved something equally historic. It created a distinct civilizational power center that the Ottomans could never fully absorb, defeat permanently, or erase. The story begins in 1501, when a young, charismatic leader named Shah Ismail I captured Tabriz and declared himself Shah of Iran. In one stroke, he revived the political unity of Persia after centuries of fragmentation. But his greatest move was not territorial, it was ideological. He made Twelver Shiʿism the official state religion of Iran. This decision permanently separated Iran from its Sunni Ottoman rival to the west and gave Persia a unique imperial identity. This was the true beginning of Iranian supremacy in its regional form, not supremacy through sheer size, but through ideological consolidation. The Ottomans ruled a vast Sunni empire stretching across Anatolia, the Balkans, and the Arab world. The Safavids answered with a powerful Persian Shia state that turned religion into the glue of empire. At first, Shah Ismail's rise was explosive. His Qizilbash warriors swept across Iran, Iraq, and parts of eastern Anatolia with astonishing speed. By the early 1510s, Safavid influence was so strong that pro-Safavid sentiment began spreading among Turkmen tribes inside Ottoman Anatolia itself. For the Ottomans, this was not merely a neighboring empire expanding, it was an ideological fire threatening to spread within their own borders. This tension erupted in 1514 at the Battle of Chaldiran. Ottoman Sultan Selim I marched east with artillery, disciplined infantry, and a clear objective: break Safavid momentum. Shah Ismail's forces were brave and mobile, but they lacked the artillery advantage of the Ottomans. The battle ended in a major Ottoman victory, and Tabriz briefly fell. Yet this was the moment that reveals the limits of Ottoman supremacy and the resilience of Iran. Despite the defeat, the Safavid state survived. It did not collapse. It regrouped, adapted, and endured. That endurance is where Iranian supremacy truly reveals itself. Most empires shattered after a defeat of this scale. The Safavids instead transformed. Under Shah Tahmasp and later Shah Abbas I, Iran shifted from tribal military dependence to a more centralized imperial structure. Shah Abbas especially rebuilt Iran into one of the great powers of the early modern world. Under Abbas, Isfahan became the shining symbol of Persian supremacy, a capital of breathtaking architecture, commerce, and diplomacy. Its mosques, bridges, gardens, and bazaars projected wealth and civilizational confidence. While the Ottomans had Istanbul, the Safavids had Isfahan, a city so magnificent that it became known as half the world. Iranian supremacy during this age was cultural as much as political. Persian art, miniature painting, carpets, calligraphy, poetry, and architecture flourished. The Safavid court became a center of refined Persian high culture. Even Ottoman elites admired and borrowed Persian literary and artistic traditions. In this sense, Iran exercised a kind of soft supremacy, the supremacy of taste, court culture, and intellectual prestige. Militarily, Shah Abbas restored lost territories and struck back hard against Ottoman pressure. By the early 16th century, he recaptured Tabriz, the Caucasus, and much of Mesopotamia. The Ottomans, despite their strength, found themselves repeatedly dragged into costly eastern wars that produced only temporary gains. This back-and-forth struggle lasted for more than a century, eventually leading to the Treaty of Zuhab in 1639, which established a relatively stable border between the two empires, a remarkably similar border to parts of the modern Turkey-Iran and Iraq-Iran boundaries. That treaty itself is evidence of Iranian strategic success. The Ottomans could defeat Safavid armies in battles, but they could not permanently absorb Iran. Persia remained intact as a rival civilization state, with its own dynasty, religion, bureaucracy, and identity. Why was Iran able to maintain this position? The answer lies in three pillars. First, geography. Iran's mountains, plateaus, and vast interior made conquest extremely difficult. Ottoman armies could invade border cities, but holding the Persian interior was another matter entirely. Second, identity. The Safavid conversion of Iran to Twelver Shiʻism created a distinct religious identity that bound the empire together and differentiated it sharply from the Sunni Ottomans to the west. Third, bureaucracy and culture. Persia inherited ancient traditions of administration dating back to the Achaemenids, Sasanians, and Islamic Persianate states. The Safavids tapped into this legacy, making Iran more than a tribal confederation. It became a restored imperial civilization. So, was Iran supreme over the Ottomans? Not in the sense of total military domination, but in the sense of survival, identity formation, cultural prestige, and strategic resilience. Iranian Safavid Iran achieved something extraordinary. It stood as the only Islamic imperial rival that the Ottomans never truly subdued. Even at moments of Ottoman military superiority, Iran remained unconquered in essence. In fact, one could argue that the greatest Iranian supremacy of the Safavid age was historical permanence. The Safavids gave Iran borders, a state religion, and a dynastic memory that outlived them. The Iran shaped in this period became the core of the modern Iranian state. By the late 17th century, Ottoman-Safavid rivalry shifted from endless warfare to cautious diplomacy. Ambassadors crossed borders, treaties stabilized the frontier. Both empires had come to recognize that neither could eliminate the other. And perhaps that is the most profound form of supremacy in this story, not conquest, but permanence. Iran, through the Safavids, transformed itself from a fractured post-Timurid landscape into a durable imperial civilization that forced the Ottomans to treat it as an equal rival for centuries. It was not supremacy of size, but supremacy of endurance, culture, and statecraft. While Ottoman cannons may have thundered louder at Chaldiran, Persian civilization answered with something deeper, a state identity strong enough to survive every invasion, every defeat, and every treaty. That is why in the Ottoman age, Iran's greatest supremacy was not over land alone, but over time itself.